again. Today is Friday, February 22nd, and we are now on to Webinar 52 with Andy, the cowboy Stapleton. And he is going to talk about these 3 words instead of the 2 words that Pete used. Pete was doing Treeview control, and Andy's doing Treeview table control.
That's right. That's right.
So
why
here you
have
go.
why have one column when I can have many? That's the idea.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Right. We over the years, I've very seldom. I don't think I've used the tree control. Attempted to use the tree control basically once or twice, and that's in it's been around for a while, and it's just because it never really ever gave me a useful bit of information. Never really gave me what I needed. Most of the time I try to do parent-child relationships with a parent table and child table. We've all seen that kind of stuff. But in the instance of like in a CRM type environment, parent-child relationships and tasks, I mean, there's a lot of nice things that you can use this for. Having a table that can do a tree structure is absolutely beneficial. In fact, I wrapped the entire CCS Project Pro around the fact of using the tree structures for everything. And it works out very nicely. But how to work it, how to make it useful. You'll find that the tree table is easier to handle than the tree control itself. Number one, it is a lot like the table control when you do a table add line. There's just a few little tricks, and we're going to go through them. But basically what it allows you to do is do simple things as putting in, say, another child for Belinda, and say that's Belinda, and save it. And then we got Bradley now underneath Belinda, so we've got that. And if Bradley had a child, we would go Bradley's child and go, and I think I should have Bradley in here. Did I refresh that? No, I didn't. So basically I can have the parent, the child, and the grandchild, and I can have a great-grandchild and a great-grand, on down the line, as many as I want. Some of the things that we've had to do in the past is trying to figure out where to put this information. So let's kind of go through a little bit of code here, and let's understand the control first of what we need to set up on the control, and then we'll go into the code that manages it, because I do use the classes to manage this, and I've kind of wrapped around a little bit, so you get a little bit of look at it. But we've got the same fields that you would put into a table. I've got the SysID, which is the unique identifier for the record. I've got the parent SysID. Now this is important on a tree control, that you have the SysID of the exact record and you have who the parent is. Usually if you're doing parent-child relationships, you've got that. Then I've got the name, the address, city, state, and zip. All those are shown. The other 2 are hidden. The thing, you'll notice that right here we've got a number of Treeview control. This is kind of the cool part. A lot of times you don't want the first column to be your tree control. I can set this thing to be 4, 5, and have it treed 3rd column over or 4th column over if I so desire. So that's worked out nicely in a checkbox system we have on CCS Project Pro, where the checkboxes are on the left side of the screen or left side of the control, and then the tree is actually next to it. So in essence, my Treeview column is 1 over from what it needs to be, and it still looks pretty neat, pretty cool, and gives a nice interface move. That's one thing you got to keep aware of, and obviously you want your anchored column in the same as your tree column, so that way it expands when you expand your screen. That's about it. Other than that, there's absolutely nothing that I'm doing differently here, with the exception of content. Instead of having it load it for me, I'm doing it by programming. So let's it's just fairly simple with this. I mean, just kind of go through those steps right there. Make sure you have your Treeview column, you have your parent and child in the list box or the Treeview control, and you're fine with that. Coding wise, again, since I use
Andy,
yeah,
would that be one table that we're looking
it
at?
is one table.
And that
Absolutely,
table.
everything is in one table. There's not two tables.
Okay.
So
So
I'm
you just.
doing everything in one.
Okay.
So if you have any questions on how to set this up, I mean, to me, it was fairly straightforward. It was everything else that gave me problems. This part here wasn't that hard. Okay. Code-wise, again, since I use the classes, the coding itself was fairly simple. We're going to go into that here in a minute. I'm declaring my classes on top. This is my tree table. This is for the record structure here. This is for the actual array of records that I returned back. And then I added another one exactly the same so I could get the parent list. Now, I fetch the data, I fetch the data for the parent, and then you can see right here, here's one of the key parts. Tree.loadTreeTable TV customer list. That field, that is the control here, TV customer list. That is the name of this control here. And what I'm doing that is I'm passing it to a method in my class and telling it to manage that control via indirection, which we'll get into and take a look at here in just a second. Then we got the table display and we got the list display. Okay, so that way you have both of those working. Fetch data is fairly simple. Let's go to that. I am manually adding in a sysid of 1 and name, and then I'm adding in another sysid and the parent sysid of 1. So this is telling me that Belinda's parent is my record and Darlene's parent is my record. That's just straightforward. The rest of this down here is my static code. So if you get into this, this is just SQL statement that would normally return me this data. I'm not using a database at all on this for right now. So I'm adding 3 records here, 1, 2, and 3, which is me, Belinda, and Darlene. Managing this is where the key comes in. When we come back down here to the load tree table and tell it what to do, here is the biggest thing that we work through. I'm sending the tree table control to the procedure to load it. There are 4 functions, okay, that you will be using or should use or could use for this project. Number 1, you have a table add line, which is a very straightforward table add line to add a line, each line to the screen control, which some of you have probably already experienced and used. Then you have a table add child. You also have a table insert line and a table insert child. Okay? This is where it comes in. When Pete was talking about, as a SQL guy, trying to get everything lined up in sequence in order to just add it to the tree, you don't have to do that. You can sort it by however way you wish to sort it, and then by using a method to find the record you're looking for on the screen, you can insert the record or insert the child wherever you wish. And that's what happened when you saw Bradley being shoved in there at the 3rd level underneath Belinda. I basically said, table insert child here because he's at the bottom. He's number 4. So when I'm looking at my records, I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, Bradley's number 4. He's not going to show up in there unless I insert him into the table. Okay? So we get the tree table. We now have a you'll hear where we're sorting it by the sysid, the array, so that way we have it in the order that I wish. I do an exception on this because if for any reason there's an issue, I want to make sure that I don't blow up the program for that. I can either send an error deal back saying I can't do that to the table control, whatever, but I usually do this. And then what I'm doing is going through the array field. Okay? The array field is a global variable in my class. I think that if you have the time there, since you can't going to do a Pete's Corner next week, I'll do a reiteration of the classes, Arnold, if you want. Go
Sure.
through the classes again.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So that way everybody can understand everything about the classes next week. Okay?
Okay. All right.
The thing I'm looking for is now for each record of that array, I want to know one thing. Number one is, do we have a parent record? Is it greater than 0? So on the first one through, no, because that's me. And all it's going to do is add the line. Very straightforward. If it does find the record and I want to find it inside the table, in other words, have I already added it to the table, then I'm going to go find it in the subscript. And what it's going to do is go through and loop and do a table seek on that control, the Treeview control, until it finds it. If it finds it, great. If it doesn't find it, I want to see if I can find it as a child. There are two things that you can do in there. Table seek should find it 99% of the time. But if it's a grandchild, great-grandchild, something like this, sometimes you have to go to the second level and search from there, which is where your table seek child comes in. So if I get a val of -1, which means I didn't find it on my first level, then I want to go through and try to seek it by child and see if I can find it on any of the children levels. Okay? Everybody with me so far? When I get that back, I'm going to have what row number in the control that is. That's what I'm going to return there, is that row number. When I return that row number, I'm going to insert the child to the control. I'm going to insert it based upon that row number. The 2 here says what level, either before or after. 2 is after. Insert it, and then everything else goes the same. Fairly straight. Let's go ahead and run debug on this and step through the code, and we'll show you how it works. Okay, so now we've loaded and fetched all our data. We want to go through the tree table right now. Let's step through that. Let's go down here because this is where we want to care about. Okay, the array field is ARREC, which is what I stored all that array stuff in. For each one of those, I'm going to check the first one here. The parent sysid is a 1, and I'm going to see it. Yep, it's got a parent, so I'm going to go through that, and I'm going to find it here, and I'm going to return back that whether or not I found it, and I found it in the regular as, nope, I did not find it, so it's going to go to the root. The next record, again, searching for the next. Now this one found a record. It found the parent now. And as I step through that, it's going to go ahead and get the index row from the table of where it is. And it's going to insert the children. And who this is right now is Belinda. That's why I'm inserting her as the next level down from me. Now, even though there may not be another record below it, the insert table will just put it right there where it needs to be, so I'm fine with that. I don't have any problem with it. Let's go on down and get the rest of them, and then what we'll do is we'll add Bradley and show you how that works. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to insert Bradley in the middle of this. Give him Belinda as the parent. I do claim him on occasion, though. And let's save him. Okay, so now Bradley went right in there, as you can see. Let's go back and relist that and show you how that works going through the code. I got you here somewhere. There you go. So what we're going to do is we'll go to the add a save button here. And we will tie this tree together. And then I'll go through this and show you what it does. All right. Take this one out. Go. Okay, so let's add Bradley. Then save. Okay. Now this code is fairly straightforward. What I want to know here is I want to get a new count because I'm adding a record on the fly for my array. I add the record to the array. Now, even if you're using a file, I still do this. This doesn't change. The only difference is there's one more thing here for doing a rec save. And then I load the tree table, which is what we're fixing to do here. So I'm going to go into the tree table again. We'll go ahead and run down here. And we'll go through this process. See what we got here. Okay, so now I'm trying to find it. I go back, and it's going to add the line. Then I look for another parent SysID. Now it's 2. Did I find it? Yes. You see it insert the child. Insert the child. This should be Bradley, I believe. No, I've still got, it's Darlene. One more. There's Bradley. So now Bradley comes in. He's the last one on the list. Normally, if you didn't do anything at all, he'd be laying down there at the bottom of the tree where he doesn't need to be. But because we do the table seek and the table insert child, this is the key part. The ordering of the records when you get them back from the table or the file, as long as you have that parent SysID, you can have the tree structure go as deep as it needs to go without saying tree level needs to be 1, tree level needs to be 2, tree level needs to be 3, whatever it needs to be. You don't have to do that. When I first started this process, I was putting in the database, the tree level node, the parent SysID, about 3 fields to try to make sure it went into the right level of the tree structure. And I didn't have to do any of that. This is all I had to do. And so we keep on going straight. We get his number, and then he's going to get inserted based upon the index. Now, if you remember, it went 1, 2, 3. And you'll notice that my index number here now is a 2. What it's saying is I found your parent on line number 2 in the table control, and I'm going to insert you right after that is what's going to happen here. And so we get Bradley now right there. That's as simple as it gets. Whether you use, the array structure and classes to manage it, or just put that same code into a local routine, doesn't matter. I start off as a local routine. I like the array classes to do it because I can sort it by different things on the fly in memory, and makes it much, much easier to work with for me. But it is really, really straightforward. If you really want to see this in absolute nuts, this is it working full time. So you've got the parent, you got the child, and you can see here I've got a grandchild sitting here. So you got the scheduler. These are all things I'm doing for Project Pro. And you can see I also changed the icons of it. All kinds of things is in there. So you're allowed to, you know, it really becomes very powerful. And what I showed you here is exactly how I'm running this. Exactly how I'm running this. Works out fairly nicely. So, any questions on this? Or did I just totally confuse everyone?
I don't know.
This is also going up on the corner, so it'll has a backup of this and provide the code.
All right. People are typing.
Ashley and Bob.
I use that
TV. Yeah, he uses that in the deal. Yeah. More straightforward. Yes, it is entirely more straightforward. I mean, even even Prodomus really didn't. You know, he had a fit trying to get it done.
You're talking about
not Prodomus.
Enable simplicity.
Yeah.
UltraTree.
UltraTree, yes.
So you can do calculations and add up stuff and all that with this?
I can do all that kind of stuff in there.
Yeah.
I can do anything I want in there because the only thing that it is managing itself is the fact of well, let me give you a little bit of example here that you can see where I do a lot more to the project here. Let me find, let me get to my code here for that. Just give me a sec. And you'll see what all I do with it.
Because I would love to use something like that to do like an invoice with all the items.
Yes. And you're absolutely right. The parent-child relation for invoicing, all kinds of things like it really makes it look nice. And basically, if I got extra fields, I just blank them. They don't know any different, you know. I'm just using whichever fields that I need to use, or columns that I need to use, rather. Let's see here. What do I need to do here? Just think that's what I want. Yeah. Okay. Now here is the full-blown, we're going to do everything. Okay. I'm actually get a filter on it. This is where you're looping through, and if it doesn't reach my filter out of the array class, I'm just telling it to continue. That is kind of like a cycle statement there. Continue as a cycle statement. And so I'm checking those, and then I'm going through the exact same code you just saw. Okay, adding the table, going through it, adding all of the fields to the row. Now here's where it gets a little cool. What I'm doing here is, as a default, I'm setting the color to black, the bold, font size, and this is my collapsible image and my expandable image. If I've got more than one child, and that's part of my SQL statement there, I'm checking to see how many children I've got underneath me. I'm telling it, oh, I need a folder instead. I want to do folder open and close instead. And if it's completed, I'm actually striking out the entire record so you know that it's completed. Okay? That's for that side. Otherwise, if it's the parent, then I've got the same doc notes, but I'm also doing a bigger folder close and open here, and that gives me the child total. And I'm also, if it's got a parent, I'm telling it to change the font size even larger. So what happens here is that's where you get this font size here of the questions being in a larger font size than the children underneath it. That's what that is doing. And then if I add one, as an example, let's see if I'm going to add an item here right underneath this one. What happens here is that when I choose that task as the parent and I hit save, then what happens is it comes up underneath. Well, looks like I got a bug in there. I've been messing with this, and I bet you I broke it. Yeah, that's the old copy. Let me run it here.
While you're running that, Ashley asks, can you add another child level from the same table?
Yes, as many child levels as you want. Okay, so now see the test item comes right underneath the default values, and you can see that it popped that up to another one. And if I want one under here, I can add and say add another test and hit save. And it goes through that same code. Like I said, I'm working with this right now. I'm trying to change how it works. So Pete's going to be fussing at me, but there's the wrong one. Let's try that button there. So now you've got both of those working, and you're fine. Okay. So you just add as many children, grandchildren as you want, which I've kind of done up here. Let's see. Let me show all the filters. Okay, you can see the strikeouts now. This is where the process, those things have been done. So you can see everything that's been struck out that's been done in there. That's where all of that code is coming into play to see what's happening. So what it's doing. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it works out pretty nicely. It's kind of like my play project, so I continue to work with it, and we use it for task management and managing our time. But I'm constantly improving on it. It's one of those projects you use all the time, but you constantly improve upon when you find something new you can play with. It's basically what it is. So what we'll do is we'll provide this source code as well. I'll get it to Pete. He can upload it on his, and you'll have the source code for this as well, and be able to use it as a reference for what you want to do. It's about as simple as you can get. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know. Anything else, guys? Otherwise, people want us to go to work for the day.
Off to the mines. Andy, thanks for sharing again. And what's your famous words?
Hey, all I can say is be good or be good at it.
There you go. Shutting down the recording.
Nonsense.
Oh, wait, all right. Not yet. They're talking. Thank you.
Just thanks.
Okay.
I'm on Skype every day. So if you need to ask a question or two, or need the zip file immediately, I can send it to you. So just holler at me.
Webinar 53 will be Andy next Friday.
Yeah, we'll go through the classes. I'll make a simple set of class management with hyperfile program or hyperfile deals, and we'll walk through it and get that all out there.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, because the thing about it is that before you can get into the larger, where you're doing 1 million record tables, 2 million record tables, and you want to do paging type functionality or behind the scenes loading type functionality, you're either going to write a lot of code locally, or you need to have class management. And we've kind of we kind of solved this or put this in class management, and I've actually convinced Pete that using classes is not a bad thing. Ashley, yes. Pete said it was going to be in WebDev 18. I have not seen it because I'm not as good in Fringlish as he is. But all I can say is this:
Tim might
it
know,
is
right?
awesome.
Tim might know for sure. Tim might
Tim
know
may
for
know
sure.
for sure. Pragma does because he's French, and I'll ask him. But I think so.
And the zip files, Chris. Yeah, well, if they give it to me, I'll post it there.
Yeah, I'll give it to you right now because I've got it here and already zipped up. Backup of it already zipped up, and I can give it to you right now, Arnold.
Okay.
But I mean, if it is an 18, fantastic, because that basically allows me to take my Project Pro stuff and move it to the web almost as is, which is cool, awesomely cool. Okay, and I actually been doing some web stuff. For all those who have known me for years that have avoided the web because I have absolutely no talent in designing web screens, web pages, things are getting different.
Give the boy the tools.
Yeah, I'm getting the tools to make it work finally. We will be. We're trying to finalize for the DEF CON. We're trying to finalize for it in August in Gatlinburg. We're trying to get some information back from the Edgewater. If we can get it back from the Edgewater in the next little bit, we'll be announcing what we're going to do there. Either way, no matter what, even if it's in a outdoor cabin like the first one was in Gatlinburg, where everybody just came, yapped, and talked, and had a good time for a long weekend of get together, then that's what it'll be. So, y'all have a good time today. I shall see you in the funny papers.
Have a good weekend.